If I could now ask David and Jess to come forward and take us through some of the insights from Soft Skills for Business Success. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming this afternoon, and thank you to Simon and to Jane for the opportunity to do this work with Deakin Co on the importance of soft skills. It's a topic that really fits in with an important part of Australia's economic agenda. We know that investing in education and skills is a really important part of Australia's future economic success. And it's becoming increasingly important as the structure of the economy changes over time due to technology and moving towards greater technology and greater knowledge sector or knowledge worker jobs over time. Formal quals and technical skills are a key part of that, but they're only part of the requirements that we need going forward in order to achieve that economic success. We know that soft skills and personal attributes are an equally important part of human capital going forward. So in the report that Deloitte Access Economics has put together, we have compiled research on soft skills for business success, and it's through a compilation of looking at a range of literature on the topic, through consulting with industry groups, forward-looking analysis of the jobs market, how the jobs market will look going forward, and also an analysis of job matching tools such as LinkedIn and Workable. So Jess and I will go through just some of the key highlights, and you've all been provided copies of the report on your seats. So firstly, what are we talking about with soft skills? And there are a variety of definitions. So outside formal qualifications and technical skills are only part of the picture. And one of the classifications that we've got here up on the screen is actually produced through the World Economic Forum, which produced 16 crucial proficiencies in education that were identified, and 10 of those 16 are non-technical. So you've got things like literacy, numeracy, technical skills, but then you've got a range of attributes: critical thinking, problem solving, communication, curiosity, adaptability, leadership. Things which are important elements of education, and as we know, important elements of how education is applied in the workforce. And businesses value these attributes. We know that businesses are looking for these attributes, and increasingly in the sorts of jobs that the structure of the economy is going for. And sometimes these attributes are valued on their own, and sometimes it's in combination with technical skills. So how our technical skills are actually applied in a teamwork sense or in a leadership sense or an adaptability sense. So what we're talking about here is not a new concept. So businesses have a good idea of what works to help promote their businesses, promote their interest, and when recruiting, businesses also have a good idea of what they're looking for. And as an example of that, I had a look at the Deloitte Access Economics recruitment criteria. So when Deloitte Access Economics is recruiting graduates or junior staffers, yes, we do look at academic records and relevant work experience. That's how we develop our shortlist. But how do we pick between that shortlist? And so I've happened to pick out the Deloitte Access Economics interview guide, which a few people in the front row here are probably quite familiar with over the last couple of years, as to what sort of questions that we are looking for and other organisations like us are looking for. And you might think, oh, well, they're going to ask about monetary policy or econometrics or nerdy economic stuff like that. But not true. Only one question on technical attributes. There's questions on coachability and willingness to learn. Questions on teamwork. So take me through a situation where you developed an effective working relationship with a team member. Describe a major decision you had to make. So problem solving. Adaptability. How do you manage pressure effectively and cope with setbacks? So these are the important questions that businesses like Deloitte are looking at to kind of separate the people who are going to be effective in that role versus those that aren't. And on the technical side, it's listed as an optional question. If anyone is coming to an interview with Deloitte Access Economics, it is one that I do ask, so don't get off scot-free. So, you know, these are important attributes for business. How do we go about measuring how important? Well, one aspect is trying to identify, you know, what sort of jobs are these soft skills important for. And so one thing we did in the report is try to identify those sorts of jobs which are soft skills intensive and those which are less intensive. I mean, there's very few jobs where these attributes are not important at all, but there's some which are more than others. So the more intensive ones are, you know, manager occupations, professionals, technicians, community and personal services, which is such a growing part of the economy, sales representatives, a lot of administration jobs. You know, less intensive, some of the trades, trade areas, clerical, labourers, machinery operators, classes less intensive. And if you look at that split, where is the economy going and how has it been travelling over time? Well, the soft skills intensive jobs are growing at 2.5 times the rate of the other jobs. So you know, it's not necessarily a surprise. It's the transformation towards knowledge intensive areas of work. And if you follow that transformation, then we're looking at, you know, around 63% of the economy being in soft skills intensive jobs by 2030. So it's a significant shift. It's being enabled by technology. It's being enabled by greater globalisation. Sometimes it's consumer preferences and ageing with a lot more expenditure in the health sector and you know, the various skills that are required there in terms of caring roles and support roles. It's also a feature is you know, increasingly the people are embarking on career changes over time, and partly that is technology, but partly it's also a bit of a change of mindset that people are not necessarily looking to do, you know, the one career over their lifetime. And so, you know, what's enduring when you change careers? Technical skills, not necessarily. It's the soft skills, it's the business skills that are more transferable than technical skills. So why do they matter? How can we quantify? Well, it's really about delivering productivity for businesses. So businesses value human capital that will deliver services for the business. So in looking to try and quantify the importance of soft skills, it's really looking at that productivity gap. And then there are, you know, we refer to in the report a number of studies which show there is a productivity gap between businesses that have higher attributes of soft skills compared to those that have lesser. So studies across the manufacturing sector, Australian study focused on teamwork skills, and across, you know, it's not an extensive literature, but across those there is a productivity gap, and it's of about 3 percentage points. So if you just equate that against the size of the average business, and equate that productivity to revenue, it's something like $90,000 of revenue per in terms of you know, the average size of business for those that have a higher level of soft skills. Other literature we've looked at is, you know, there's higher levels of emotional judgment associated with lower levels of staff turnover. Innovation has long been recognised as important to business success. So, you know, and there's a series of literature that's out there that we've looked at capturing in the report. Now, I'm going to pass over to Jess Mizrahi, who was the lead researcher on the report, and Jess is going to take us through a few of the other key findings from the report.
Thanks, David. So we know that businesses value soft skills, but then the question is, how does that translate? As it turns out, it translates in what businesses are looking for in their employees. So we looked at over 168,000 job advertisements through Workable, which is a job matching tool. We found that 71% of businesses are listing just communication skills as an attribute that they need in their workers. And you see listed there a range of other skills. It's not just about communications. In fact, it's a wide range of skills. And certainly anyone who's ever looked at a job ad will know that these skills come up again and again and again in terms of what businesses are looking for. But it's not just in professional services jobs or managerial jobs that you might expect. There's some surprises in there. Nannies and babysitters. Actually, very soft skill intensive profession. People want their babysitters to be ethical. Makes a bit of sense. Don't eat the peanut butter. What about in creative industries, such as the arts or media? Well, actually, digital skills are very important in the creative industries, but so are communication skills. It's even more important for leadership. We looked at a survey of worldwide digital firms, and you'd think that in digital firms, right, technical skills are crucial. Actually, in leadership positions, in digital firms, most HR managers and executives thought that soft skills were more important than technical skills for leadership success. We also talked about how some of these skill needs are evolving over time. We talked to Cisco as part of the consultations for this report. They made a really interesting point about how communication skills used to be about face-to-face communication, so just getting up and talking to someone. But that skill is evolving very quickly in a world where suddenly you need to talk to someone who's in a different time zone, in a different culture, where 4 other people are talking simultaneously. What we need to do is changing and evolving very rapidly. So, are we meeting this demand? Evidence on this is actually quite scattered, because the short answer is there is not a lot of consistent measurement about how many soft skills we have as individuals. That's partially a problem to do with measurement, and partially a problem to do with not many of us are really very sure whether we have them or not and whether we can claim them or not. Overall, we think it's a positive picture. For example, we looked at LinkedIn data which showed that Australians were more likely to report a range of soft skills compared to some counterparts such as in Singapore and in the UK. Certainly our graduates seem to be performing very well. A study by Oliver et al. Found that more than 90% of graduate supervisors thought that their graduates displayed a range of skills like problem solving, emotional judgment, teamwork, and ethics. There is, of course, some variation by profession. For example, a 2013 Deloitte Access Economics survey considered how STEM professionals or the STEM industry in general displayed certain characteristics, and overwhelmingly employers thought that their STEM professionals had more problem solving and critical thinking skills than their non-STEM professionals, even though they were working in the same organisation. So there's clearly some ups and downs in different professions and in different industry groups. But there's still a gap, and it's actually fairly significant. 3 in 4 Australian organisations report having a workforce skills gap, and 1 in 3 Australian employers say that there's a soft skills gap. Even at an entry level, the number is 1 in 4, which is to say that even new graduates, 1 in 4 employers are saying that they lack the skills needed for workplace success. That's only going to get bigger over time. As David talked about, we're seeing this evolution in the workforce. So surely if our demand is going to continue to increase, the question is how we continue to increase supply. Businesses spend a lot of money on getting the right people and making sure that they have the right skills for success. $7 billion is the annual cost that we estimate that businesses spend on recruitment. And yet, they're looking for soft skills. How are they finding these skills? LinkedIn data interestingly showed us that less than 1% of Australians are listing a soft skill on their LinkedIn profile, which, as we all know, is a key criteria for many recruiters who start looking at LinkedIn. I wouldn't mind doing a quick show of hands. How many people have a LinkedIn profile? Okay, now put down your hand if you do not have a soft skill listed on your profile, communication skills. Oh, you guys are much better than the Australian part. Might be the room we're talking to. The cost of getting that recruitment wrong to business can be quite substantive. So a 2017 study actually found that the cost of replacing a poor hire within 6 months could be 2.5 times their salary. So clearly trying to find the right person is critical. It's costly both when we try and find them, and it's costly if we get it wrong. And even on an ongoing basis, training and development is worth $4 billion to Australian businesses and institutions annually. And that's particularly important in a changing environment where training and recruitment is not just a thing that businesses do to develop their staff, it's also a key attractor for many people who are looking to develop skills on the job. Thankfully, there's a solution. So credentials, and particularly credentials for soft skills, are not a new idea in the sense that we've had credentials in education for a very long time. Degrees, diplomas, even smaller credentials have existed for quite some time. But even looking at the evidence, we just found that there is very little, in fact, looking at measurement of soft skills in particular. That's because it can be hard to objectively measure and people honestly aren't sure. So credentials for soft skills can offer two benefits for business and for the economy more broadly. Firstly, as a signalling tool, we talked about that $7 billion cost of recruitment. Well, what if you could just say, I know that person has communication skills because they have a credential for it. It makes the process for business significantly easier and cheaper. Secondly, as a tool for measurement, if you've got a $4 billion spend on training and development, how do you actually measure the effectiveness of that $4 billion spend? Is it by surveying your staff and saying, did you like the course? Did you learn a thing? Maybe they'll say yes, but is that truly an objective measure of your return on investment? Credentials could help to track progress over time, measure how staff are developing and how programs are facilitating that. So we were delighted to work with Deakin Co on this important report, and I'm really looking forward to Simon introducing the panel. Thanks for your time.